It's Will and Chris, and we're going to talk about peer accountability partners today.
PAP.
PAP, absolutely.
Now, when you think about an accountability partner, something that might help you wrap your head around it a little better is using a training metaphor or analogy. And for sake of discussion, let's use preparing for a marathon.
Okay.
Because you run, don't you?
I ran 10 miles this morning.
Yeah, I'm not running unless someone's chasing me, but okay, I'm glad.
Okay.
You look good for having run 10 miles.
Well, it was only 10 miles.
Oh, man. So, when you are out there running, are you by yourself or do you have someone with you?
Actually, today I had two lovely women with me today, Cheryl
Nice.
and Janice. Yes.
Great. And what do you guys talk about when you're out there? Even though you're women, but what do you guys talk about?
We talk about all sorts of things, but interestingly enough, as you talk about this metaphor for PAP, Janice and Cheryl and I are all training for a marathon right now.
Okay.
That we're going to do in about a month. And Cheryl is a much more experienced marathoner than Janice is, although Janice is a pretty active runner, but not at the marathon level, not as much. She's done a couple. And Janice is is using Cheryl as her accountability partner through this process.
Okay. Now, what are some of the dynamics of that relationship?
Well, today, for example, we were running, and Cheryl, who's helping Janice, was actually making sure that she was staying on pace, that the route was the right length, that Janice, anytime during the course was, staying with her stride relaxed and just kind of giving her that attaboy as we went along. So a lot of support, a lot of, looking at the mechanics, looking at nutrition, kind of making sure that Janice had everything she needed to be successful in her run today.
Right, and that's a great example. And we can transfer exactly what you do when training for a marathon with that accountability partner.
Right.
And use the peer accountability with our virtual life marathon that we're going to be running together as a group. Right?
Sounds good.
Well, let's talk about the parts of the relationship of having a peer accountability. There's two roles. Essentially, there's a speaker.
And there's a listener.
That's right. So we'll start with the speaker first.
Okay.
That's the one that needs a little help. That's
okay,
we're receiving the accountability.
Okay, so why don't you be the speaker? Tell me what you need to do as a speaker in this role.
So speak on speaker?
Speak on speaker.
I will speak on speaker. So the first thing you would want to do is clarify and share what your goals are.
Okay.
Specifically for that week. Now, when you're training for a marathon, you're not just straight out of the gate running that marathon and hitting the 23 plus.
Well, it's 26.2.
See, I never run.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're building up to it. So you're doing your long runs, you're doing your tempo runs, you're doing your speed work, and so each run has its own purpose.
So each week's a little different.
Each week's a little different, getting you ready so you can be prepared by the time you got to race day.
Okay. So the first thing, again, is clarify and share the specific goal you're trying to knock out for that week.
Right.
It could be you need to post a blog. It could be you're applying for a new job. It could be that you wanted to walk three miles, but whatever your specific goal was for that week.
Right.
The second is explain specifically to the person that's going to be listening exactly what you need from them to be effective. So
Chris, while you're working on this goal this week, what exactly do you need from me?
Well, I need someone to hold my feet, even though it's going to be the hands, to the fire. Right. I need someone that's going to really not let me give excuses.
Okay.
Because I have a tendency to kind of procrastinate and put things off, and I really need you to text me at 8:30 this week to make sure I'm posting my blog.
Okay.
By Tuesday.
All right.
So before the call.
All right.
All right. The next thing is be honest. If you didn't do that post, or you didn't walk the 3 miles, or you didn't apply for that job you were interested in, be honest with your peer accountability partner. As far as creating this relationship, you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And honesty is the key to any relationship. Wouldn't you agree, Will?
I would.
Okay.
And
you're not lying, are you?
No. And there's a certain reciprocity there. I mean, because we are both serving in both roles, I mean, I expect you to be honest. I'm going to be honest to you, and that's how we're going to work together best.
Right. And give that relationship more depth.
Right.
Great. And the last piece, as far as being the speaker, is celebrate. So when you go and you knock out that 1 week goal that you had, so whether you're going to run 8 miles or 12 miles or 50 miles or whatever it is,
Yeah.
when you mile, do you just keep running like Forrest Gump, or do you take a break and celebrate?
We actually we finished the run, and today, for example, we ended up at Starbucks and we had a little congratulatory drink. I had a hot chocolate because it was 30 degrees out today. And,
hence the fire.
hence the fire, and it was great. We got to share and also kind of decompress, but also kind of wrap up what we did that day as far as our training. So it was good.
Yeah, and it's human nature to just get caught up in what you're doing and push, and not take a break and go, okay, pat me on the back. I did it.
Good job.
So let's talk about the flip side.
Okay,
the listener.
The flip side is the listener, and there's 4 things that the listener really needs to do. Well, the first is to get permission. When you say, Chris, you want to do something, is it okay if I hold you accountable?
Yes, I like being held to the fire.
And how best can I do that? So I want to clarify what my role is. Do you want me to, kind of gently nudge you, or do you want me to kind of push you?
Just don't light me on fire.
Okay. But the more I understand, and that's going to develop over time.
So the style
that will help you the most, and also that I'm comfortable providing to you, but kind of coming to some terms there.
Okay.
Okay. So once I get permission, and I have that permission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes, Will.
I want to actively listen. So when we're talking, when you're talking, I want to make sure that I'm listening to you, understanding what you're doing. So my body language is going to support active listening. So
even though I'm on the phone.
Even though you're on the phone. Well, I'm talking about right now. But when you're on the phone, I do want to let my body language support me, because I don't want to have the distractions of doing 3 other things while I'm listening to you. But if we're face to face, I want to give you eye contact. I want to give you my attention so that you know that I'm there with you. I may want to rephrase what you've said to make sure that I understand it and clarify it and be able to move on from that.
So even though I might be on the phone, making sure my body posture is if you were there, making sure that I engage you and maybe repeat back what you said a little bit.
Just for clarification.
So that's active listening.
Exactly. You just demonstrated, didn't you?
See how good we are.
I want to work with you as the listener to seek your commitment. So if you're saying, this is what I want to do this week, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going to say, what's your commitment to that, Chris?
So is it helpful to do a scale of 1 to 10?
That's one way to do it. So I might say, on a scale from 1 to 10, what's your commitment, Chris?
About an 8.
8's not good enough, Chris. I would suggest that either you shift your goal or you look at ways to make that a 10. What do you feel more comfortable with? Well, doable is good, but do you think you need to change your goal or not?
I really want to hit it.
You want to hit it, but you're saying you're only an 8. What's going to get you to a 10?
I guess I'm committed to this, aren't I?
You said you are.
So I just need to do it.
Yeah, so can I get a 10 out of you this
week?
All
right, you got a 10.
All right. So it might be a little negotiating back and forth. I always say, if somebody's not giving you a 10, there's something holding you back, and maybe we need to readjust that goal sometimes.
Right.
But we also want to push ourselves. So
absolutely,
kind of coming up to what's going to be right for you this week.
That happy medium between stretching you and
not
making
overwhelming you. Absolutely. Right. And the last thing I want to do is ask for feedback. I want to make sure that as a listener, I'm giving you what you need.
Because you need to get better at what you do as well, right?
Exactly. So what have I done this past week that really worked for you, or is there anything that I could do differently to support you moving forward?
Right, and that's a very good point. And something that both of us need to do, the speaker and the listener, is commit to a regular schedule. Do you just go running whenever you feel like it, or do you have a schedule when you meet and when you're going to go and how far you're going to go?
Tuesdays, Thursday, Saturdays, we know exactly what that pace is going to be, how far we're going to go, exactly the course we're going to go, so it's all mapped out.
Right. And a wonderful effect of having this relationship is the friendships that you can develop, particularly if you're really open and honest with folks. So tell me about the relationship you have with your runners.
They're deep and strong and some of my best friends, and I'm going to cut you off now because we're out of time.
Well, we'll talk about this more on the call. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is helpful to understand that you have the peer accountability partnership.
Thanks, guys.